Hey, everybody, welcome to Let Us Interrupt You, episode 234 on Friday, November 10th, 2023. It is Veterans Day, technically. It's Veterans Weekend here, which hence is why I'm doing the show a hell of a lot earlier today, a lot earlier than usual. I am Joseph Olivo here, the one and only, the one that hosts the podcast, the one who created the podcast, and so on and so forth. A lot of hockey, a lot of good hockey that was on last night. Not much in the NBA department. Not really that much worth getting into, really, either. But we'll get into some of the scores from all the sports that were on last night. Bears Panthers was a stinker last night. That game was not even worth rewatching if you're an NFL fan. If you're like a fan like me who watches literally every game, it just really wasn't worth the watch. I'll give you some of the highlights from that one right now. That game solidified Frank Reich's chances of being back here next season, which is slim to none. I'm not sure why he wasn't fired this morning. This is a team that's 1-8 that could use a change, that could use a coaching change, that could use some kind of change. And it didn't come this morning. I woke up this morning. I didn't find any feed about whether or not he was fired or not. So that's that. I want to start with hockey today, though, because it's worth that was worth more of intriguing to watch last night than most of the NFL action that was on last night. Otherwise, it would be worth watching at this point. Would be worth getting into. I want to get down for this weekend's slate with college football and the NFL. Give you my predictions on those. Reviews last night's Virginia Louisville game as well. I'm going to review that as well from last night. Hopefully, I can get these tabs to work here on my end here. I'm going to try to share the screen because now YouTube will allow me to Chrome tab. I'm just going to do the NHL scores on here. There we go. Oh. Is it going to let me? Is it going to let me share the scores on here? Here we go. Perfect. Give me a lightning last night. Blackhawks got the win. They're just letting teams just beat them left and right. I mean, that's what the story was going to last night's game. Rookie defenseman Kevin Crosby and ex-Lightning forward Tyler Johnson and Corey Perry scored for Chicago, along with the 2 goals by Connor Bennett last night. For the Lightning, really, this is another home loss. I guess home field advantage is not good for this team. This, by the way, snapped an 8-game losing streak for Chicago with this win last night. This was by far interesting hockey to watch last night. If you're a Chicago Blackhawk fan, because there is hope. There is hope for this team this year to be a playoff team this year. I don't think this is a year where they're going to start off in a rebuild mode. And by the way, this is an 8-game they avoided last night against Lightning, dating back to probably the last 4 or 5 years. This is a new, improved Chicago Blackhawk team. They're young, they're hungry. The Lightning here, it feels like they're on their way out. It really does. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this really, other than the fact right now that they're not really a dynasty building team. It seems like here, like this is it for them. Like they're going to be, on a contending board. Otherwise, not going to do much of anything here. Just call like I see it here. They're just going to be one of those teams that's in the conversation but doesn't really do much of anything. The New York Rangers beat the Wild last night 4-1. Really, the story of this game was that the Rangers once again are improving their dominance point. It's a little close to dominance to the Knights, to the Bruins. It's close to that, really. This game last night was an interesting watch as well. Really good hockey last night. Most of the scoring took place within the from the first period to the last period. Lafreniere had 1 goal and 2 assists, 25 saves for the Rangers, and Trorik had a goal and 2 assists last night in the game. Otherwise, it was an interesting watch last night. Coyle had a goal last night as well for the Rangers. And Perrin had an assist in the goal last night. He was a +3 in the game. He had 3 shots on goal. It was a really good watch last night. Duhaime for the Wild had a goal. That was really about it there. Not much else to tell about the Wild. They're not really that good this year. Surprising this year. Slow start for them. They're usually a little bit better than this last night, but it seemed like the Rangers had control last night throughout the puck here. Had more shots on goal last night. It seemed like Fleury had allowed 27 shots last night, allowed 3 goals, and Dominic really just beat him to the punch really last night as far as the goalie duel. I would call this game last night, but not much else to tell there about that game last night. Montreal Canadiens beat the Red Wings in overtime last night, 3-2. They got a pretty good win last night in Detroit, a much-needed one at best. I would say Montreal. I'm not sure on your end if you're getting issues on my end here. If you watch, Cole Caulfield scored a power play goal in overtime to get the win in this game. I got a big giant CBS logo that's blocking my thing here. I'm not sure what's going on. It just froze this page. Of course, the Wi-Fi here is not that great. Compier had a goal last night. Suzuki had a goal for the Compier had a goal for the Red Wings, and Fisher had a goal as well. DeBronk had the right wing was a -1, 4 shots on goal last night for the Red Wings, but it was not enough. Caden Primdom stopped 27 shots for his first win for the season for the Montreal Canadiens as a goalie. Pretty good stuff for Caden Primdom last night. Really good stuff here. I mean, he looks promising. They improved to 6-5-2. Detroit drops to 7-5-2. Now the Bruins, they improved now in the year 11. I believe that's 11-1-1, which is what the Golden Knights just had originally here before they lost the other day. Bruins win 5-2. All 3 goals from Charlie Coyle last night. He got a hat trick in the game last night. Ran Resnick had 2 assists last night. Pasternak had a goal in the game last night. 4 shots on goal last night for Charlie Coyle. Or 6 shots actually. Excuse me, not 4. He was a +4. Coyle was last night. He had the 1 assist last night. Had 3 goals last night. Frederick had a goal as well. Pasternak had a goal. The other side, Dobson for the Islanders. He was I believe he had an assist. He was a -2. He had 3 shots on goal. Holmstead had a goal, and Mayfield had a goal. Yomark last night played pretty great last night. I will say right now, the Bruins, they could use 2 goalies as a platoon going forward here the rest of the year. I mean, this was impressive stuff. Yomark played really good last night. Do I think he's the #1 goalie on this team right now at this point? Not anymore. I mean, I made that pretty clear yesterday on the podcast that I think was it yesterday I made it or was it Tuesday? I can't remember now. I think it was either Tuesday or yesterday. I made that pretty clear. Swayman is the #1 guy. That in and of itself, the Bruins right now have been dominant since the season started here. It's been surprising. Montgomery has taken this team and just took off with it. And this is pretty good long-term, I feel like, to me. I mean, this is a team right now at this point now that's pretty wrong. I really thought for sure now they have the exact record now the New York Islanders at this point, if not worse, than the Blackhawks, really. But they proved me wrong tonight. This was a strong win. Defense played last night by the Bruins. With Carl on the ice last night, he was pretty good last night. He was a +1 last night. He had 3 shots on goal, but he was no Brad Marchand. Oh, and Brad Marchand did play last night. Okay, yeah, he had 2 assists. He was +2 last night. He had 3 shots on goal. He took some hits. He delivered some hits last night as well in the game. I was at Bose last night watching the game with my friends, and yeah, this was actually it was a pretty nice game last night. And this was Coyle's first career hat trick last night. I kind of figured it would be, so this really didn't surprise me. Otherwise, they needed this win more than last night to prove that they are, and even with Yomark last night, who's been struggling, and this was a statement win even with Yomark as a goalie last night, and Yomark who is reforming right back to his 2020 days. I think last night this was, to send a message loud and clear that, hey, I'm okay with being goalie number 2 for right now at this point. I won a trophy. I'm willing to the whatever the hell the name of the trophy is that he won this past season. I can't think of it, but yeah, like he got the win last night, statement win. He's going to be number 2 at this point. It's less pressure on him. I think the problem with at the end of the day was that I think he was hoping last year for a platoon situation where it was like split, like 1 game, 2 game, like 1 game he would play, second game he'd sit, 3 game he'd play, 4th game he would sit, and the 5th game he'd play. Like I think that's what he was hoping for last year in the playoffs, which is why he started to struggle late in the year because he was starting to get tired. It was starting to reel on him. I hope Swayman doesn't fall victim to that, like play so much to the point where he just doesn't have the same edge, but we'll see. Vancouver Canucks beat the Ottawa Senators last night 5-2. They improved to 10-2-1. They've had a really surprising year. Elias Peterson and Peterson, I believe, has 24, mainly because he had the 1 goal, 2 assists last night, which will help. Mikovic had 2 goals last night, and Miller had 1 goal for the most of the team last night. All in the minuses last night. Jurek was a -1 last night with 2 shots on goal. Turner had 7 shots on goal, and they were no good. -2. He was 0 for 7 last night. Benner Docker was a -2. Batherson was a -1. Not really good stuff last night from the Ottawa guys. Zub had the 1 goal. I don't know who got the other goal, really. It's not telling me here on the box score on here of who got the other. Oh, no, it was Batherson. Batherson had 7 shots on goal, but only had the 1 goal here last night. Very showing. The Senators are starting to struggle here a little bit here for the most part. But yeah, I mean that's really the story now. Next game for them, for Vancouver, they're playing at Toronto Saturday night. So we get a little Vancouver Toronto action here. We get a little Brock Bozer versus Austin Matthews. I'm looking forward to that matchup there. For the Senators, it's really facing Calgary here. So basically, whoever shows and delivers right now. Both teams struggling. But Vancouver and Toronto is going to be a watch right now for all you hockey fans out there. That's worth the watch here. That's going to be a battle. Dallas Stars beat the Columbus Blue Jackets last night in Columbus. They got a 5-2 win last night. On the road, not really much of a big win. And Columbus is not really a tough opponent. They're not scaring anybody, really. Duchesne had the Stars rally from a 2-goal deficit. They were down 2-0 in this game, and they had 5 unanswered here against this team. Duchesne had 1 goal. Sagan had a goal last night. Let's see. Marchment had a goal last night. Robinson had a goal. Sagan was a +3 last night with 2 shots on goal. He had the 1 assist last night. He was really the guy who also responded, and under the deficit last night with Duchesne as well. Duchesne had 4 shots on goal last night. He was a +3. He had 2 assists last night. Had the 1 goal. Next up for Dallas, they are playing Winnipeg in Winnipeg Saturday night, and the Blue Jackets go to Detroit for a nice little matchup there. St. Louis Blues got the win 2-1 over the Arizona Coyotes. Not much else to tell about this game, really. A lot of question marks between these two teams, a lot of inconsistencies, really. I'm not really going to get into reviewing that game. Really, that game was really a stalemate between two teams that are really trying to prove themselves, really, at the end of the day. Otherwise, it's not really much else to tell. I mean, you kind of look at the other matchups from last night. They were really not worth that much. But anyway, Kyle Connor for the Winnipeg Jets, he got a hat trick last night and helping them beat the Predators 6-3. That was a majority of the story last night in those games. I think there was more games on last night. I guess not here. But Connor has 11 goals this season. He's 5 in his last 2 games. He's been really been a good story as well for this year. Schifele had 4 assists last night, and Forsberg had 2 goals for the Predators last night, but it wasn't enough. Going down the list here, Winnipeg took the lead early, didn't really relinquish early. I thought that was telling there going to that one last night. I think that's all the scores, though, from last night. There was more games. Okay, I was thinking myself there was definitely more games last night. But anyway, from Winnipeg, I'm just going to scroll down the list here right now and give you the next game's going to be. They are going to be hosting the Arizona Coyotes Saturday night. The Predators will be. The Jets will be at home against the Dallas Stars. That is going to be a really good watch right now. Winnipeg and Dallas, that will be a good one. Kraken, the Seattle Kraken, going to Colorado last night. They get the W last night in Colorado, 4-3 last night. The San Jose Sharks got a 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers. I did call it. The San Jose Sharks were going to beat the Edmonton Oilers. They were going to beat the snot out of this team. The Penguins beat the LA Kings 4-3 last night in OT. So Penguins go into LA and they get the W on the road. I'm just waiting right now at this point. Just want to spoil the other games for you. I'm not sure why this was not taking me to the next page on here. I don't normally share screens on here, but my phone's charging upstairs. I figured I might as well just share all of the screens in case people were wondering at this point. If you do have any issues buffering-wise with this video to actually work here, it seems like it's working here on my end now. The only problem is now it freezes every time I open the thing, which is if you're not watching it obviously, but I was kind of hoping it was actually not having the little screen at the bottom. It was actually just going to have me just do this instead. But anyway, Borcheskensten, I just botched that name. 2 goals last night for the Kraken last night for him. 1 goal for Schwartz. McMahon had 1 goal and 2 assists last night. He had Brian had a goal last night and 5 shots along with that. Really, the story of this game last night was that the Seattle Kraken have got the Avalanche's number, it seems like to me. I'm not sure what it is with them, but they just, despite what their record is, Seattle at this point right now has an advantage over Colorado. They have they have a weakness, Colorado at this point, and Seattle is exploiting it. So that's what I've noticed last night in this whole thing. Prosodov, not really good stuff last night from him. 22 shots allowed here, and if you're a team that's got a really good defense, and it's known to have that in the past, this was not a good night for Prosodov to slack off here and to allow 4 goals on 22 shots. That's pretty bad. That's like Edmonton Oilers bad at this point, where they have pretty bad, where their scorer is like the worst. And here, this was the worst goaltending that I've ever seen Colorado ever play. And it was against a team that, really is. They're interesting. They're interesting to watch. Don't get me wrong, they are. But it's like they could have played better last night. I mentioned before the Sharks. They just beat the Oilers 3-2 last night. They gave themselves their second win of the year. The Oilers dropped to 2-9-1 on the season right now. And I really thought this for sure, that the Sharks were going to win this last night. I knew this from the get-go because, let's be realistic at this point, this is a very bad Edmonton Oilers team. The 2 goals last night by Edmonton were from Nurse, defensive player last night. McDavid had 4 shots on goal. They were not connecting. Really didn't even earn much or anything last night. Van de Kane was a -1. I'm not sure who scored the other goal here. I'm trying to find it on the page. It's telling me the 1 goal here. I'm not sure why. Unless the score is wrong here. Here you go. Nugent Hopkins right now. He's not playing that great. This is a guy that usually leans on Connor McDavid at this point, but apparently the statement right now is that it's been terrible at this point for him this season. I've heard it. He stinks. He's not that good of a center. So it's like I was hearing rumors all year long about Linus Ullmark possibly going to Edmonton to fix out the issues there, but that would have been a horrible trade because one of the 2 best goalies in hockey is on your team, and you're going to trade for a guy that needs Connor McDavid to hold his hand and play these games. It wouldn't really work out this year. McDavid, who led the NHL with 64 goals this past season. This season now, in 7 games, he's not scored any goals at all. The Oilers have lost 4 straight and have won one in their last 9 contests. Their 5 points are tied with the 1993-94 team for the fewest through 12 games in franchise history, and tied with San Jose for the fewest this season. Both worst teams in hockey right now at this point. And Evander Kane, who's made his return last night at San Jose. This is another thing that I wanted to bring up here. This is a team he formerly played for. I guess in this case here, you can argue right now that they don't really need him, but they never needed him to begin with here because he was never really the answer for this team, really, despite the fact he carried the team most of the time in San Jose. But now in Edmonton here, it's 4 or 5 guys that I don't even know what else to He's one of the worst goalies in hockey right now. I mentioned this earlier, comparing it to Prozac performances last night. It was not good. 15 saves is not going to win you some hockey games in this league unless you have a conservative rest. It's going to be with the Oilers. I don't know if he retires with the Oilers, but it's like if this is what it is at this point, boy, it's not good. It's not good at all. Penguins got the win last night. They improved to 6-6 last night over the Kings. Russ made sure to get the second overtime goal here. Make sure it count for that one. He had, I believe in this game, one goal last night. Kemp had one goal for the LA Kings, now 401. Falafel had one goal for the Kings as well. Crosby had a goal last night, 1 assist. He was a +1, 3 shots on goal last night. Gruzotti had a goal. Rust had a goal. I don't know who got the fourth. Eller had a goal last night, so there you go. Kemp, Falafa, Grunterstrom goals last night for the LA Kings last night. So yeah, that was really the real stuff that happened last night. I'm gonna probably run down for tonight's games, and probably for I might as well give you the rundown for Saturday. It's gonna go right to the. Oh damn it! I wanted to go back to the box scoring screen here, so we'll show you all the scores from last night into tonight and into the next night. I'm gonna give you a rundown for today's games, if it will allow me to on here. I know the sharing screen on here kind of affects the Wi-Fi in the house here. It's not that great, like I mentioned before. Tonight, though, you have Hurricanes at the Panthers. You have the Calgary Flames at the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Washington Capitals are at the New Jersey Devils tonight. Wild are at the Sabres. Anaheim Ducks, there you go. And the San Jose Sharks are at the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, I got to tell you right now at this point, and I gotta say this right now just for the heck of it, really. And this may be a long stretch here in the imagination here in my head. But if the Pittsburgh Penguins get worse, right now they're 6-6 right now at this point. But if they get worse overall, is it too late to say right now at this point they could trade Sidney Crosby at this point to the Ducks maybe? Maybe the Vegas Golden Knights, maybe the Seattle Kraken here. I don't know, because to me, it seems like they don't really have a guy that's the face of that team in Seattle. They don't. Sidney Crosby could use a change in scenery at this point because that team, I'm telling you right now, they're not – like everybody thought that the change of scenery, changing around the general manager, getting rid of the coach would change this team. I feel like this team has gotten worse despite what their record is. But it just – to me, like I just look at that team, I go, you know what? You need to change the scenery. Go to Carolina maybe. Maybe go to Seattle, maybe go to Colorado. I mean, to me, it's like maybe Chicago. You know, you bring in Sidney Crosby, you get Connor better to play along with them. You have two Sidney Crosby's in the making right now on the same team, the actual one and the future one. You know, there's a lot of possibilities here. It may sound crazy, but I just think to myself, what has he got to lose at this point? You know, there's not much there. For Saturday night, which I probably already mentioned this already for most of these games, but I'll give you the Saturday night slate and I'll give you the Sunday slate. Veterans Day is actually tomorrow, which is actually good. I'm not sure why it's not changing the screen on here. Let's give it a minute to buffer here. And we're going to get to that page. There we go. So Columbus Blue Jackets play tomorrow night at Detroit. I already mentioned that earlier. The Dallas Stars are at Winnipeg. Hurricanes are at the Lightning. The Bruins take their first trip down to the Bell Center in Montreal to take the Montreal Canadiens. Calgary Flames are the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. You got the Vancouver Canucks and the Maple Leafs. That is a must-watch game. People would normally say it'd be the Hurricanes and the Lightning here, but I feel like the Lightning are just going to lose tomorrow night to the Hurricanes. Capitals and Islanders, not much of a watch there for that one right now in the UBS Arena, excuse me, in New York. You got Sabres and Penguins, like I mentioned before. Could this be the end of the era here for Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh? But it seems like to me, it just Pittsburgh is trying to get better. But, you know, if it gets worse for them over time here, and it's just the same people like Malkin and them carrying the team, there needs to be a change. I mean, there has to be a change in some type of way here. Whether he gets traded or you get someone like a Evander Kane to come in there, you get someone in there like a Drosky, which I would love to see that in Pittsburgh. That'd be an interesting watch right now. Malkin and Disralti and Crosby, hell of a watch. You got Coyotes at the Predators, at the Kraken. And I'd be shocked if Edmonton tomorrow night gets the win in Seattle, but that's unlikely to happen. Then I'll just share a different screen on here and review some other games that are on. Let's see. We got Blackhawks at the Panthers Sunday. Stars are at the Wild. Vancouver is playing in the Bell Center in Montreal as well. So you got a little Montreal-Vancouver action for all you Canadians out there. Columbus Blue Jackets are at the Rangers in Madison Square Garden. And we have the Sharks going to the Ducks. It would be an interesting matchup if they were winning teams. Anaheim is a winning team, but for how long? Rid of this screen completely here. Get rid of that buffering circle that's been driving me nuts right now. And we're going to move on to the NBA that was on last night. Despite Giannis scoring 54 points for the Bucks, they came up well short against the Indiana Pacers. They lose in a battle here, 126-124. Before I get into that one, I'm going to start sharing the screen on here. Let's see what we're going to do. Let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to share a Chrome tab of the NBA from last night. So I'm going to pop on your screen right now. That way you won't just see my face. You actually see the CBS website again. Had points at 6 rebounds, 10 assists. Giannis Antetokounmpo, listen to this box score here. 54 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. I mentioned this guy was not in the MVP conversation. What a hell of a response last night. I know they had to look at the box score on here. It's not letting me do a processing request. I know. Process a little faster. Anyway, but Giannis just played awesome last night. And it's kind of showing here at this point, but can they play defense? I know they're considered one of the worst defense right now in basketball, but can they play better defense? God damn. This was a very bad performance last night by them. And here's, you can make a case right now where Indiana might have their answer here early. If this keeps up the rest of the year, I don't see how they make it to the deep in the playoffs here. I mean, they got a lot of things to fix. Middleton had 19 points last night, 2 rebounds, 4 assists last night. Malik Beasley had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Cameron Payne had 7 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Brook Lopez, 2 points, 1 rebound. This was one of the worst nights he's ever had as a Milwaukee Buck, as a starter, too. Portis was 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Cunningham had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Here's my question here, just out of curiosity here. Why is Cunningham not a starter for this Milwaukee Buck team? He's more consistent, much better shooter, much better defensive player. And honestly, I look at between him, Cameron Payne, I don't know what else to say about this one. I know Payne played last night because Lillard didn't, but it's like now Damian Lillard here. Put Cunningham in this game. Put Beacham, the rookie, in the game. Put Jackson Jr. in the game. There's a lot of things they could have done here. Andre Jackson Jr. would have been a great placement in there last night. But you guys think about it. This guy could be your power forward going forward, and Giannis could be in your center last night. You could have made a little bit. Haliburton had 29 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists for the Pacers. Martha had 26 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. Miles had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. 3 guys with 20-plus points last night for the Indiana Pacers last night to go at home last night against this Buck team. That's a statement right there. They've been a really shocking team this year. If I had to say so myself, this is a really surprising team that's coming in here this year and made a strong statement, kind of a strong win they had last night at home against a very game Giannis Antetokounmpo and Milwaukee Bucks last night. But I got to say that the rotation last night in this game I thought was questionable. James Crowder, James Crowder. I guess it is James Crowder, yeah. Or is it Jay Crowder? Jay Crowder, sorry. I don't know why I said I'm thinking of the Vikings wide receiver. But anyway, he had 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist last night. He's not much of a help, really, for the Bucks. Not really much of anything here, really. Buddy Hield had 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Niebuhr had 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Daniel Tice had 2 points off the bench. Didn't really get a lot of action last night in the game. Otherwise, he would have probably done a lot more. But they really didn't need him last night in this game. So that was a plus for them. But Giannis last night, he stepped up last night. He was the only player that really showed up last night. 16 for 18 at the free throw line, 19 for 25 overall in the game. And he just basically just torched this team. All right, let's see here. We got the Hawks last night. Going into Orlando last night, they got the W last night, 120 to 119. They got the win. And this actually wasn't even in Orlando last night. It was in Mexico City, Mexico. So very interesting stuff last night for the Hawks last night. Terry Young, 41 points last night for the Hawks. Happened to get the W there last night. 4 rebounds, 8 assists in 35 minutes. Johnson had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. DeJounte Murray had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Hunter had 12 points and 1 assist last night. Clint Capella had 6 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Bogdanovic off the bench, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists last night. Great stuff last night. Really great stuff last night by the Atlanta Hawks last night, bench producing wise. Bogdanovic, he made some kind of a statement here last night. Jalen Suggs had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist for the Magic. He was 7 for 10 shooting, 4 for 5 from 3. Banchero, 7 for 14 from shooting, 1 from 3. He had 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Markelle Fultz had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists last night. So it looks like the Magic are starting to get back to reality right now at this point of being a mediocre team. Despite people stepping up last night. Isaac came off the bench. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds last night. And Wagner had 13.7 rebounds off the bench for the Magic. But really, if you had to think about it, really, they could have done a lot more in this game to contain Trae Young. Trae Young was a beast last night, despite the numbers. 5 for 15 from 3, 12 from 27 from shooting-wise, really. As a team overall, they were 15 for 39 from 3. The Magic, if this thing will let me go down that screen, was 25 for 35 from the three-point line. That was a hell. Or was that the free throw? I'm sorry. That was free throw lines. I'm sorry. They were 10 for 27 from 3 last night. So that was the majority of the story right now, was the three-point shooting here helped out Atlanta pick the W and get the win in that one there. But Trae Young especially, he was a menace last night on the floor. He was a real difference maker in this game. And I'm young here. I don't know where Atlanta would be. But right now, they're 5-3. They look like a team right now that could beat the Bucks in the first round, or they could beat the Pacers in the first round. To me, they seem like that team that would actually go here. I feel like Atlanta this year is going to have a much better playoff run. If it had to come down to it, I would say they're more. I would say right now they're in the conversation right now for a deeper playoff run than the Indiana Pacers right now. I know it's early in the year. You know, things could change. We have a longer season, but it just looks that way. Miami could be a really deep team as well. I think Miami, Atlanta, and Indiana look like a teams this year now that could really contend this year. The Bucks with Lillard, they could contend, but their defense needs to be adjusted here. Otherwise, they're not going to have a deep run. It's just the way I look at it. Going forward with that game. We had college basketball on last night. Before I get into scores last night, I just wanted to give this takeout here. There was a poll question on CBS Sports on who would be the better head coach this upcoming season here. And I would say Ed Cooley is not going to have a better chance than Rick Pitino here. I think Pitino is going to have a better chance of success this year than Ed Cooley is going to be. Georgetown this year is not proven. They're not going to be ranked the rest of the season right now at this point unless they have a huge upset win. The only chance they would have had for success, and I'm really surprised they didn't try to take the opportunity and grab that, was getting Cooper Flack. That would have been a hell of a move. It's Ed Cooley's first season right now to try to recruit that kid for next year. But that would have been a statement right there. And here, for leaving Providence as well right now. See, you're never going to see me wear a Georgetown hat, but, you know, you kind of get the idea. Rick Pitino, I think, realistically, has a better chance of success than St. John's because he could take that team to the next level. I think he's got a better shot. I don't think they're going to win the Big East this year. Just FYI, I don't think they're going to this year. If anything, this year, and I really haven't thought about it this year, but I think Villanova might have a pretty good shot this year of winning the Big East this year. I think they might have it this year. I think St. John's is going to come close. I think they will. I think UConn will be in that conversation as well. I don't see UConn going to repeat this year. I don't know what it is. They've lost too many stars at this point right now. They're really starting at this point from the beginning here. You got Marquette in there as well, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, I think Villanova this year could be on a shock run this year. They're a little quiet this year. They were ranked this year as well. They're going to come back from whatever the hell their season was last year, which was a pathetic run for them. And this is past the Jay Wright era, and I think they weren't ready for him to go. I think they weren't prepared for what they were going to try to do without him. I think this year they are. They're well aware of their competition right now, so props to them. I'm surprised Rick Pitino didn't choose Villanova to coach, really, because I think he would have had much better success. But the St. John's, to me, I think for what they have for talent, it's a lot better. For what they have for an approach here, and I really can't wait for a Rick Pitino Duke matchup this year. I really can't wait for that matchup. I really can't wait for PC to come home to be facing Rick Pitino here, and really Rick Pitino's return to Providence this year. That's gonna be interesting this year, and Ed Cooley as well. That would be more emotional, obviously. I think they'll give him more of a standing ovation, and they're not gonna give Rick Pitino much of anything really. So that was my takeaway in that whole thing, just based off of that. I'm going to give you the scorers now from last night's college basketball games that were on last night. There you go. Going to share that on my screen. I'm going to look at it from my end because I got to scroll down here. We have last night, Stonehill College beating Army last night, 57-40. Princeton, Columbia International, 158 last night. William Mary beat an American, 75-56. Elon beat Eastern Tennessee University, 79-76. VMI beat Tristram, 87-53. James Madison in double overtime going into Kent State last night, getting the 113-108 win in Memorial A Center in Kent, Ohio. URI beating Fairfield last night, 93-80 last night. House had 22 points last night, 3 rebounds. Bleachmore for Fairfield had 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 assist. URI's had some pretty good stuff lately. They were up by 25 last night, and by the end of the first half here, they were down it defensively. That's been down at this point. Second half here was a little bit of catch up for Fairfield at this point, garbage points really, but URI had this game in the bag right by the end of the first half here. They were too much for them to handle here. Beating Point Park 66-56. South Florida beating South Carolina State 96-52. I just realized I didn't even give you the score. I didn't even give you the rundown for this weekend for the NBA and the college basketball. What else? Michigan State, number 4th ranked Michigan State, beating Southern Indiana 74-51. Walker had 14 points last night, 1 rebound, 1 assist for Michigan State. North Florida beating Charleston 81-70. Merrimack beating Worcester State 93-72. North Carolina Central beating Virginia Lynchburg 107-54. Georgia Tech beating Howard 88-85. Utah Valley beating Sam Houston 67. Wichita State to Kentucky 71-61. Arkansas Pine Bluff winning 116-73. Nebraska beating Florida A&M 81-54. SMU beating Lamar 78-67, 3-0. And Harris with SMU has scored 18 points on 4 rebounds last night. I'm trying to see if I can get into the top 25 on here because there's a lot of college basketball that played. I'm not sure why it's not just showing the top 25 on here. That's why there's what I wanted to get into for last night. I don't think there was any top 25 games on last night. As far as them being worth watching, UC Davis beat Pepperdine by the way 79-78. Johnson had 28 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Elijah had points, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists in the game for UC Davis. Baylor last night beat John Brown. Here we go. That's what I wanted to see. Top 25. It's a lot of rundown here if I get through every game here. You know what I mean? But Baylor got the win 96-70. I already mentioned Michigan State beating Southern Indiana. St. Mary's beating New Mexico 72-58. They improved to 2-0. USC, 21-ranked USC, beat Cal Baker 85-59. No Brownie James as of yet at this point. Going on later on today, I'm going to give you a rundown right now for the list right now for college basketball. I'll give you the rundown for the NBA as well. I'll pull it back up on here when I get a minute. Rundown for tonight's college basketball games. You got Lemoyne taking on Villanova. You have Arizona Wildcats, 12th ranked Wildcats, going to 2nd ranked Duke at Cameron Indoor later on tonight. Morehead State taking on Zach Eddy in 3rd ranked Purdue. You have Texas A&M Conference taking on 16th ranked Kentucky. You have 13th ranked Miami at home hosting to Central Florida. You have 15th ranked Texas A&M taking on Ohio State. My prediction is this: I think Columbus, Ohio is going to get a big W tonight. I think Ohio State will get the win tonight over Texas A&M. I'm calling an upset pick here in that game there. Gardner-Webb taking on 14th ranked Arkansas. You have Indiana State taking on 24th ranked Alabama. You have Bill Self with the Kansas Jayhawks hosting Manhattan tonight. Both teams are undefeated, 1-0 so far. 25th ranked Illinois taking on Oakland. Illinois is going to be in Champaign, Illinois tonight for that matchup there. 5th ranked Marquette at home versus Rider. 18th ranked versus Delaware State. You have 9th ranked Tennessee taking on Wisconsin. Yale taking on Gonzaga. That's coming on later on tonight. As far as I know with that one here. For tomorrow and Sunday, this is what I'm going to give you the run. I may have done this yesterday, but I might as well just do it again, get it out of the way. Veterans Day itself officially tomorrow. So that's another way of looking at it. But yeah, that is the story here with that. For that particular thing. As soon as the screen loads up here we go. We got Stonehill College versus 6th ranked UConn. You got 7th ranked Houston at home against Texas A&M CC. You got North Dakota State taking on 8th ranked Creighton. For Sunday, top 25 stuff. I'm going to try to get into PC in a little bit here. I think they played last night, but I'll get into that one real quickly here before I get to the as soon as this thing loads up. Very sorry, this is a slow. It has good Wi-Fi down here. I had to change rooms here because my Wi-Fi was not. I had Wi-Fi in my room. It just was not going live in my room. You have Lang taking on 19th ranked North Carolina. You have Gardner-Webb going to 20th ranked Baylor this weekend. So Baylor plays twice this weekend. And you have Weber, or actually I should say we'll play twice technically this long weekend because technically my weekend started. I don't know about you people, but my weekend already started. Weber State taking on St. Mary's. This weekend here right now. I'm going to scroll back up. I don't know if I can get a Big East right now. I could probably try to do that. I don't know if EC's already played at this point though. That's the thing. Let's see if I can just pull it up on this listing here, which I'm not sure what's going on. Why it's not doing anything. See, the problem is at this point, the Chrome booklet is not as good. I just got a new laptop recently, so I might be starting doing my shows on here going forward on this thing. I'm not sure why this is not loading up on my end here. But anyway, so far this season, if I had to give it a national championship prediction here this year, and I have a funny feeling about this. I'm not sure what it is this year, but here's the way I look at this because I think this will be very telling here. Forward. I think we're gonna get a Villanova Wildcat versus Kansas Jayhawks this year, and I think Kansas this year will beat Villanova. I just think to myself, like I thought UConn would be a repeat team, but we know the history of these teams repeating here. They always get eliminated in the round of 32 here. But I think Kansas at this point will win the national championship this year, and I think the Final Four is they're gonna be really good this year, and I think this year. It's going to come down. I don't think UConn's going to go that deep, but Creighton is going to go in there again here. They're going to beat a lot of these teams that make it that far. I think USC. I think if Brian James does play this year, that's the story right now going forward. I hope they don't do it like they don't rob him of a season like the Buffalo Bills right now are robbing DeMar Hamlin of a season this year. So I kind of hope that doesn't happen. But I don't know. I mean, for this, that's not going to do what I want to do. I might have to exit this tab. But they got the W last night on the road in Virginia Tech last night. Caitlin Clark, I will say right now at this point, she'll be successful in the WNBA. I feel like to me she'll be amongst the elite once she makes her team, whoever that will be, whether it's the Las Vegas Aces or whatever, the Mystics. I mean, she'll be good, I think. And she was dynamite last night, making through last night. She's better than most players in the NBA, I feel like to me, right now. They got the W last night. If it will give the score, because this will probably be a lot quicker than me trying to get this, but they got the win 80-76 last night. 13 for 31, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. That's just one note for college women's basketball. That's really about it. I'm not going to really do much of anything else. Not sure why this is not loading here. It's not getting on the Big East thing here, so that's unfortunate. I'm going to try to pull up the NBA on here if I can, if it will allow me to. Let's see, NBA basketball. NBA. Here we go. I think that we're getting something. We're in progress in this thing. So that's progress. I'm not sure how long I've been talking for at this point, but I've been talking for a long time. We're now going into, and of course now it's not gonna tell me on my screen how long I've been talking for here. This may let's see. We got news really. All NBA scores. If it lets me get to that page. That's the page I want to get to right now. Got great Wi-Fi down here. I'm not sure if it's a CBS website that's having issues at this point, or if it's just the fact that it can't handle the dialogue here on the software on this thing. So who knows? Maybe it's the dialogue on this thing. Let's see. Let's get into tonight's NBA action. If it does show up on my screen, I don't have these issues when it comes to this computer with great Wi-Fi down here. But anyway, we have the Hornets and Wizards playing later tonight in the Capital One Arena. This is part of the, by the way, the in-season tournament thing they got going on. You got the Brooklyn Nets at the Boston Celtics tonight. You got the Timberwolves at the Spurs. 76ers are at the Pistons tonight. Pelicans are at the Rockets. Jazz are at the Grizzlies. The Lakers are at the Suns. Clippers are at the Mavericks. Thunder are at the Kings. I guess this in-season tournament stuff right now, this is like the quarterfinal, or the winner goes to the quarterfinals. I guess this dumb, I don't even know. But yeah, we got Clippers, Mavericks. You got Thunder, Kings. Not much else to tell here at this point, but here's another take right here for these games for tonight right now. I'm not expecting San Antonio to win tonight over Minnesota at this point, but it would be nice. T-Wolves right now 5-2. Yeah, at this point. And I will say this right now at this point right now, though. I don't know if it's going to be the Suns this year, just because of how many games to start they've had this season. Durant's carried this team, though. I will say that, though. He has carried this team. But I don't know. Teams like Minnesota are getting better. Denver Nuggets are getting really great at this point right now. The Clippers, if they wake up, they're going to be competitive as well. They're going to be tough to beat. If I had to give a prediction right now for this year's NBA Finals, and I call like I see it here because it's worth noting. But Eastern Conference Finals, if I had to predict that matchup, it's going to be the matchup forward here. It's going to be the Boston Celtics taking out the 76ers here. I don't think we're going to see this in the second round. I don't think Milwaukee this year is good enough this year to be a third, like a number one seed. Because, I mean, everyone's looking at it going to go, oh, it's Damian Lillard. But the way their approach is going at it right now, whether both guys play or not, it's not a good rotation. So to me, if I had to give an NBA Finals prediction right now this year, I know it's early, but I would say Celtics and Mavericks lead runners at this point. And if it's not that matchup, then Celtics Nuggets. The Mavericks to me and Celtics to me would be a hell of a matchup because it's Luka Doncic versus Jason Tatum. It's Kyrie Irving versus Jaylen Brown, or really in this case here, Drew Holiday. That's what's gonna be the matchup here at this point. Can Drew Holiday, stomp on Kyrie Irving's momentum here? Can he get over? Can he overcome the effect here in the TD Garden? I mean, well, it's a wait and see kind of thing. I kind of hope that's the NBA Finals matchup we get here. I'm looking at 76ers at with the possibility of the Mavericks as well. Like I think that might be your potential matchup here. I look at the East right now, it's coming out of two teams. You got your front runners who's going to get traded at a certain point here. And I don't know what it is. Like, because I look at Detroit right now and I think to myself, just two teams in the Eastern Conference. I look at it like this. There's at least four or five in the Eastern Conference. There's at least 8 or 10 in the Western Conference here. That could really battle in the playoffs. That could really make it interesting here. So we'll wait and see. The Celtics play again tomorrow night on Veterans Day. They play at the TD Garden against the Raptors. You got the Bucks at the Magic. Heat are at the Hawks. Cavaliers are at the Warriors. Right out of the gate here, I'm going to say this right now. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, and this is my take, they will not make the NBA playoffs. I think it will be a year where they fire their coach, and I think Monty Williams will just decide, you know what, the hell with Detroit. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers here. I think realistically here, you could argue this right now that Cade Cunningham might end up in Cleveland in a trade. And it won't be a playoff run for them this year, but it'll be a playoff run for them next year. I don't see this team battling for anything here. I don't. Much of anything here to get rid of this team overall here, get rid of the stench. Donovan Mitchell at this point right now, to me, if I'm the Cavaliers, I'm looking at this and going at it wrong here. Like I'm looking at my head thinking they're a lot better than this. And I think they should be a lot deeper than but they're just not this year. So I just look at this, I go, you know what? Either Cunningham goes to the Cavaliers or he goes to the Hawks. It's one of those two teams. And if it's not those teams, then maybe it's to the Mavericks. I mean, you talk about a Dallas could be the one that could. Mark Strush right now at this point, he's not the answer that the Cavaliers wanted at this point. In fact, I thought that contract was bad on their end. He was as bad as right now is what they did when they got rid of LeBron James. Like they thought they could find the next LeBron James, the guy ended up being a bust. So it just, we all know that player's name. He does not deserve to be even mentioned on my podcast here. But anyway, for Sunday, if the screen loads up, we have, let's see. Then we have the Hornets at the Knicks. Wizards are at the Nets. Grizzlies are at the Clippers. Pacers are at the 76ers. Mavericks are at the Pelicans. Nuggets are at the Rockets. The Pistons are at the Bulls. Heat are at the Spurs. Thunder are at the Suns. Timberwolves are at the Warriors. And the Trailblazers are at the Lakers. So that's the story there. I would put the Warriors in that NBA Finals conversation right now at this point. I would say Warriors and Celtics again, but with Al Horford being gone from the team. Because I got to be honest with you, I still going to be real in my take here. I think Al Horford should be traded. Wherever he goes, it doesn't matter here. Whether you get Struss right now off the bench here, because he can be a good bench producer now in a trade. It's not that big of a contract anyway. I'd say realistically here right now at this point right now, I know it's an in-season trade move here, but having Al Horford as a bench player to me has been a complete failure here. It's completely stopped this momentum. Whatever he's doing on the bench, it's not working. Struss here is a starter for that team, but the problem is it's not working. They're not jiving together here. He's not a real starter. So that's how I look at that really in particular here. I don't see how anyone else could look at that differently. But otherwise, that's the story here. As far as the NBA Cup going, I can't even believe they actually are doing this dumb cup. You notice they don't do this for college basketball. They don't have a selection here for college basketball cup. I hate that. It's stupid to be three. Me just talking here. And my hair is terrible. I must say so myself right now. It is terrible. I can see the screen right now buffering. I'm recording this. I'm 58 minutes and 55 seconds here. So that's good. Let's see. We got the in-season tournament. It resumes with 9 games. So that would be the story there with that one right now. All the games take place here. It's Hawks, Pistons, Pacers, 76ers, Magic, Nets, Spurs, Thunder, Mavericks, Pelicans, Trailblazers, Jazz, Clippers, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Warriors, Grizzlies, Lakers. Bucks, Hornets, Knicks, Wizards, Sixers, Hawks, Pistons, Cavs, Celtics, Kings, Spurs, and Magic, Bulls. You got Suns and Jazz and Laker, Trailblazers, and Clippers. That's all next week. That's all the agenda right now. I'll give you the NBA Cup again next week for the other rundown for the following week. But that's your story. I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Let's see here. Let's go right to the NFL page on here. I'm going to give you the Panthers-Bears review from last night. As soon as I pull the screen up, as soon as the screen actually loads up. Let's see. I might have to scroll down for this because unfortunately it's way down at the bottom. Let's take a look and see. And it is. All right. So here you go. Here's a recap from last night for this pathetic football game, which I shouldn't even have to entertain the idea of this. I really shouldn't have to, but I might have to here in this case here, because that game last night was a terrible watch. I just thought realistically, like of all games to suck, this is by far, like, I wish they would flex these games. I wish Al Michaels wouldn't have to force himself to go into the season knowing that he's going to watch a hard product like the Chicago Bears. Oh, I guess my screen didn't want to share that. Oh, here we go. We got a sharing screen here. Chicago yards. Not really a lot of offense played last night. I forgot who it was. I got the punt return for a touchdown for 79 yards, but that was that's how the scoring really started here. The Panthers took the lead at 10-0. Okay, so it looked like Carolina was going to pull up the upset in Chicago. I thought to myself, okay, so Bryce Young didn't really do much of anything. That's one stat right there. They had a missed field goal at the end of the game. This game sucked. I got to be honest right now. To sit through that pathetic game, it was terrible. I mean, the scoring in this game, just the drives, how Carolina was driving, how the offenses were driving overall. I hated every minute of it. I really did. Let's see here. We had 4 for 21 yards, 21 carries for 80 yards here, and 1 touchdown. We had Scott on 1 carry for 16 yards. Johnson had 5 carries for 18 yards for Chicago. I don't know why it's not giving the score. It's not giving the scoring drives here, but it's not giving me much of anything for scoring. Not much else to tell here in this game. I'm not sure why it's not giving me the actual scoring here, how they scored here, but I'm just trying to figure that out. So we're going to have to hit plays, I guess, on here. But at this point, looks like they were going to be tanking for that position right now of number 1 draft pick, but then they realized Chicago's got the first 2 picks here, which sucks for them. You got to feel bad for this team. It really is terrible. But it was Smith Marsetti who returned it for 79 yards at this point. They got the touchdown for Carolina. It was a nice little punt return there. Santos kicked a 54-yard field goal. Pinero kicked a 33-yard field goal in the game. Santos kicked a few more field goals. Foreman had a 4-yard touchdown run. Pinero kicked a field goal, made a 39-yard field goal. He missed, however, though. And I'll give you the late drive late here. If I can get scrolled out to it. Let's see. Keep it going. Keep it going. Not much else to tell in this game. This game was pretty bad last night. Not really much of a highlight reel here for this. I apologize. But it was not good. It was not really worth the watch here. Tried a field goal. They missed a field goal from about, I want to say, oh, this was a made field goal, right? Oh, hold on. Where was the missed field goal? Oh, here we go. It was on a 15-play. So I'll give you this drive here. Bryce Young threw it a 9-yarder to Adam Thielen, ran the ball to Hubbard. They tried it, and they couldn't get it. Young scrambled for 2 yards. He threw a 7-yard play to Hurst. There's not a lot of trust issues when it comes to him throwing the ball. Young took a sack at one game. Montez Sweat gave him pressure all night in this game. It was not fun for him at all. Threw a 5-yard pass to Tommy Tremble, a 7-yard play to Hayden Hurst. They went for him on 4th down again. A couple plays later, had a pass play to Miles Sanders for 13 yards for a first down. Incomplete passes there. Pinero had a 9-yard field goal. That's how long the field goal was. 59-yarder. It was a doink off the post. It was no good. That's how the game pretty much came to a close there. Panthers are out to 1-8. And Frank Reich survives another week as the Panthers head coach here. I'm surprised he was not fired midway through the season. This is what happens when you have garbage head coaches that just don't deserve to be coaching in the NFL. But what happens? Frank Reich, look, your time has come. Your time has passed. Just retire, man. Retire. Enjoy the NFL. Watch the games from home. It's not worth seeing this guy try to coach this team. He's coaching a bunch of garbage. And it's not really his fault. And I got to be honest here. This is all on the Panthers organization, the GM, the owner. They don't do enough to make this team better. They don't. This is what they probably get for Bryce Young, though. First year, you draft the number 1. You trade all that assets. You trade away DJ Moore. This is what happens. You trade away DJ Moore. If you had Adam Thielen and DJ Moore, this record would be flipped. And they wouldn't be 8-1 per se, but they'd be at least a sub above 500 team. That's how you look at this season. But this season's been a complete failure. You look at Tyson Badgett, he's no better. I mean, you look at some of the plays that he made last night, it was okay. Wasn't anything to write home about, really. There were a lot of 3 and outs in this game. A lot of field goals here. Not a lot of drives being stalled outside of the 30-yard line. And, it's like, okay. I mean, nobody could really get in the red zone, really, besides Chicago later on in the game. But it was not a good product. It was defensive battle at best, but not a good product when you have 2 quarterbacks that throw the ball nearly 40 times each. And They don't even get over 200 yards. Bryce Young outplayed Badger in this game. He threw yards. Badger threw for 167. So that was the story of that game. That game was a lot of suck with a lot of bad substance to it. And it's unfortunate. It's terrible here. It's a terrible product. But it just, again, I hate it. I hate it going on from last night. And I did. It was not a good watch. And honestly, it actually got to the point, and I don't normally do this as a football game on. I tell them to change the channel. This was change the channel heat last night, and it was an Al Michaels broadcast game too. So I hated doing that. But again, I just thought to myself, ugh, not worth it for a watch. I hated that again. I hate to say it. Now it's time for the NFL picks. Week 10 of the NFL. We have starting off in Germany. It is the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots in Deutsche Bank Park in Frankfurt, Germany. One of the games I wish was not in Germany this year. I could name you 4 matchups that could deserve that feat. Texans Bengals being one of them, which is the next matchup I'll pick here. I would rather see 49ers Jaguars, and I'd rather see the Cowboys. And the Giants have a 2-7 record as well. But it's a rivalry game. Anything could happen at this point, and it's a weird one. So weird is good to me. Weird is good in the NFL. This is a kind of bad weird. I'd rather not sit there and subject myself to this one. No J.C. Jackson, no Jack Jones. Not much else to tell in this game, really. Jonathan Jones will play in the game, of course. I don't know if Marcus Jones will ever play another down in the NFL game with the Patriots, but, not really great matchups this week overall, though. The bye weeks this week go to Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Eagles. But the Patriots, they're looking for their third win. Bill Belichick looking for 301. It will not come into this game here in Germany because realistically, you 2 of your best defensive players aren't going to be there, even though Barrymore and why am I drawing a blank here at this point? Jabril Peppers will be playing. Let's see. Kyle Duggar will be playing this week. Those defensive players that step up and play and don't whine and complain will be playing this game here. And they deserve a hell of a lot better than what the Patriots are offering them this year. As a season here. I think it's pathetic how this team has been playing great. And they have been underwhelming this year. They are an underwhelming defense this year despite all of this, even though they're that good. They're much better than what they're advertising now on paper right now with the record that's on my computer screen here. And this, by the way, is brought to you by Best Buy. Even though they should be paying me right now at this point, I'm paying their credit cards. So there you go. And I've had people who have been casual listeners to my podcast on here who I've roasted about Mac, roasted about his performances and the game. And I thought to myself, well, they did have a shock winning over the Buffalo Bills. This case here, it was all for naught because they ended up missing the playoffs anyway. I don't know. It might be the exact effect just a little bit earlier this year at this point to determine that right now, plus a longer season. I'm going with the Colts to win. Junior will throw the third, I should say, not Junior. Although he might have a kid son and I might be named this as well, so it's a preview. Maybe I just gave you a foreshadowing there for that possibility. But anyway, I would say the W here. This would be the worst game for traveling for a team to travel here. Bad for the league because they find bad matches and they don't try to flex it. I know they try to promote so early back in April and May, but you have to sit through and watch that bad product. But Colts, they smashed the Patriots. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was a 28-0 game. Like if they were shut out, like the one that we haven't seen in any of these international games. It's a complete shutout here. The closest we got to that was that 2007 game. We're getting a shutout here. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to happen now. And I hope it does happen here. I just hope Gerard May doesn't take over, though. I hope they give it to another. That stupid face that one time, that meme, that's now a meme at this point, and I hate this. Make him the coach. Do not give that to Gerard May. As good as it is, it's not going to help him in the future. It's not. He'll be in that recycled name of this point that failed in the NFL. He'll be on that list, and I do not want that. If they're going to try to tank for Caleb Williams, I do not want that at all whatsoever. I don't. Because I think realistically at this point, Caleb Williams is on the come here. And I think you can get an offensive lineman in the first round as well. You can make trades here. It's doable. You can call the Chicago Bears. Like, it could happen here. Chicago could use a lot more of it, although I think their offensive line's a little bit better this year than New England is this year. But It could happen. It's time to tank for Caleb Williams. It's time. And it's time to get a wide receiver. It's time to get some weaponry. It's time to get offensive linemen. Whether you make 2 or 3 moves, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to probably drop here because of his value this year because of who he's playing with at quarterback in Ohio State. So it shouldn't be that surprising. It really shouldn't be. Browns at the Ravens. By the way, Lamar Jackson is on the come right now. He's expected to rush for 5,000 yards. He may eclipse that for career stats after this weekend here, passing Randall Cunningham, formerly with the Philadelphia Eagles back a long, long time ago in the 80s, in late 80s here. I think he was around in the 90s. I think Randall Cunningham at one point played for the Vikings as well. He played for most of his NFL career, mid to late 80s and late 90s. Had a hell of a career. My prediction for this game here. Deshaun Watson's back. The Cleveland Browns defense is here to play. There's no more PJ Walker. That magic is dead. My prediction here, as far as how this game's going to play out, I think the Cleveland Browns pull the upset win. They go into empty and bank stadium here. They win. Deshaun Watson throws for at least 2 stomped out here. This all started with that matchup against the Browns, ironically, when Deshaun Watson decided not to play. So to me, it's worth noting here that the Browns are going to pull the upset win in Baltimore. And I think the Bengals are going to play the fuck because they play the following week here. I'm going to give you a spoiler for that game right now. The Bengals play against the Ravens and they pull off a win in there as well. And the Ravens lose 2 straight games. This role they've been on right now has been fun, but I think here Lamar Jackson's going to get figured out here. They're going to find a way to shut down Mark Andrews. They have a lot of defensive talent here, almost too much for Baltimore to in play here. You know, Donovan Peoples-Jones on the team. So that kind of hurts your momentum there. But Deshaun Watson, as far as having one less wide receiver here goes, it's not going to really matter here. I think Cleveland's more of a real team this year. That would be a playoff team this year than I think Baltimore might be at this point. There's going to be 3 teams going to come out of the AFC North playoff picture. They may stumble backwards. This is a win here they could use here going forward here. And who knows, maybe Baltimore might collapse. I don't see Cincinnati collapsing though. But Baltimore, there's a collapse coming. You can only go so far with this for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. You got the Green Bay Packers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Heinz Field. Can we just be realistic here? It's natural grass. It's Heinz Field. That insurance company has been going through a lot of issues lately, especially with crypto. They're the leader of the whole thing, too. So a lot of rumors about them with crypto issues as well. I'm going with, in this case here, the Green Bay Packers here to get the W here. Jordan Love, I think, is a work in progress, sucking with this team. But it's so hard for me to imagine this team going 3-6 with the 31st ranked defense in the NFL, despite the fact they have a hell of opinion here. But it's worth a note here. It's worth noting. But yeah, I think Matt LaFleur, the Green Bay Packers, that offense overall is going against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense that really has no identity other than having Joey Porter's son play for the team. Defensively in the secondary, there's not really much to say about this game. You hope and pray that Love doesn't suck, and you hope and pray that Kenny Pickett puts in a decent performance. But I think Green Bay pulls the upset here and gets a win in Pittsburgh. Houston Texans taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are without T. Higgins in this game. Jamar Chase is planning to play despite the fact he's had a bad back. This right now is going to be on the back of Jamar Chase, literally, in this game here. I think you can make a case right now for C.J. Stroud. This is a much needed win in Cincinnati. However, I don't think he's going to get the win. He's going to outplay Joe Burrow, though. I will say that. He will throw 4 yards in this game by the Texans that will lead into a win for the Bengals. I think the Bengals will get the win. I think it'll be kickers in this game here. I think Evan McPherson will set him up real good here. This is a 3-point win. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. This will be a hell of a duel. Joe Burrow will play his best stuff. He'll have his best game. This will be the best game montage between Joe Burrow. And you may have argued right now, a preview for Game of the Year possibly with the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Texans already had that this past weekend with the Buccaneers. They can do it again here with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's doable here. So we're going to – the Niners and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the team I just mentioned that should be in Germany this weekend. Jags are 3-point dogs at home against the San Francisco 49ers. A debut in Chase Young, which I wanted to mention this earlier. Chase Young was basically calling out the Washington Commanders not being competitive here, apparently. And Ron Rivera said, West, best luck to you. I wish him all the luck in the world here. And he was I guess there was some questioning right now about Chase Young's competitors by Ron Rivera for the 49ers to play alongside his Ohio State Buckeye roomie and teammate, Nick Bosa. So that'd be one hell of a matchup there. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars here will be humbled by the 49ers defense here. I can't see this being 4 straight losses, especially after a bye week here. That streak with Christian McCaffrey will continue here. That'll be a great game to watch. I think Brock Purdy will have some numbers here. He'll throw for 300 yards. I think Trevor Lawrence will it'll come up short in a loss here. This will be a case right now where I think in this case here, it'll be a hell of a game where the other guy, despite everything, despite outplaying Brock Purdy, will lose. I think Chase Young will get a sack in this game. I think Jason Hargrave will get 2 sacks in this game. Despite that performance here, I think both will get a sack. 4 sacks they'll allow offensively, Jacksonville. I'll be shocked if they don't game. He'll get at least 40 because you're seeing 2 tough defenses going at it. But he will get the record here. He'll get the rushing and a touchdown in a game here for the 49ers here. I think McCaffrey will. You can even argue now will do a passing play in the end zone here to Brock Purdy. They'll do the Sanford. They'll do the Sanford. I think you kind of look at this and say to yourself, I can see this game a very interesting angles where the one will still do in defeat. It'll look great in defeat. So I'm taking the 49ers in that game. Many could argue right now that that'll be a worthwhile. Both teams surprisingly 5-4. Both teams right now don't have great starting quarterbacks here. Are above average. Stinks though. Taking on which will most likely be no Jaren Hall here. There's been no really word yet whether or not he'll play or not. I think here the Saints will win on the road. I just can't trust right now the Vikings at home with Joshua Dobbs. And that defense will not allow much of anything against Dobbs. But it'll be a case where I think Hall will be inactive here, which will be the reason why the Vikings will lose. The Vikings only won the game against the Falcons last week by pure luck. I still can't figure out how that happened. But my pick was right. So that was that. But yeah, otherwise, that Saint defense will be too much for Dobbs to handle. The Tennessee Titans will be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Baker and the Bucs are favored by 1 point here. And I think the Buccaneers will win this game. I think we'll leave as much as he'll play good in this game. I just think the Buccaneers defense will be too much for them to handle here. Levante David right now at this point is apparently the next Ray Lewis here, according to some reports at this point. It's a good take. I think these are the closest thing to it. But I think Tampa Bay's going to rebound from this. I just can't see at this point Tennessee being a playoff team as good as Tennessee would probably be, playing spoiler here. They're not that good. I mean, it just – there's so many problems. DeAndre Hopkins is the only answer for this team. There's nothing else. They need another wide receiver on this team like they need a hole in the head. They need someone like a Marvin Harrison Jr. to draft next year. So, to me, they're only playing this point right now to make Levis look good. But Tampa's going to be too much for them to handle. So I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get the W. Kyler Murray will be making his return for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to Detroit Lions here. There's not a realistic case right now you can make right now of the Chargers winning this game here, although it would keep them in the playoff conversation. It would. I just can't imagine the Chargers beating Detroit. I can't imagine it. Justin Herbert with the lacklustering offense he put up last week against the Jets. He's going to get the tough Detroit Lion defense. I have my doubts. So the Chargers don't do much of anything here. Brandon Staley is a bum head coach. The dummy in Brandon Staley here, which here as far as elite talent play has gone, he has not been the same. And I'm starting to think now at this point he's starting to turn into like a Ryan Tannehill with the Titans. So I don't want to think that way, but that's how he's been playing this year. Although he's been a little bit better than Ryan Tannehill. So that's the only positive in this whole thing. The New York Football Giants are taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington. My prediction is that the Cowboys will get the win. Tommy DeVito will get absolutely destroyed in this game. And I'm predicting the Dallas Cowboys, because they're 17-point favorites, to win by a hell of a lot more than 17 points. I'm predicting a 50-0 score. They are outscore this team 90-0 if that happens. That's realistic here. There's no way the Giants score anything with Tommy DeVito at this point. I don't care if the team is not worth fighting for. On 20 carries. In fact, I don't think they'll even have Tommy DeVito even throw this ball. They'll just have him kneel it down every time. That's how bad this game is going to be this Sunday. And it's not worth the watch. It's not worth the watch at all. And I'm not sure if on Fox they probably will. It'll probably be America's Game of the Week, which I don't know why. At this point now, if I had to tell you that America's Game of the Week is going to be at this point, through the 49ers and Jazz, that's going to be the Game of the Week. Because that right there is worth a watch. That right there is worth a hell of a watch. That are worth America's Game of the Week. That game right 2021, sorry. That was going to get the win. They're going to destroy the Giants. They'll sweep the Giants. They'll go to Philly last week with 2 games back of Philadelphia, who have a nice little bye week, and they're not playing on her tour at a Taylor Swift concert. I just think it'd be weird. Hell, I'm trying to imagine Bill Parcells watching this game at home, in his nice little home right now in Miami, Florida. Because remember, he used to be a Dallas Cowboy head coach. If Bill Parcells is coaching this would be a 30-point favorite right now for the Cowboys. You want to know why it's only 17 points right now? Because still Mike McCarthy. There's somehow going to be little Mike McCarthy screw-ups in this whole thing. That's how you got to look at this. And it's the Dallas Cowboys. You just never know with them. So that's the way. This week, again, Geno Smith will be taking on the Sam Howell. I got to be honest here. The way I see this going out right now, the way I see this playing out right now at this point, I want to say Seattle wins this game. But the more I look, here, pull up the upset win in Seattle. I don't know why Seattle just get the W here on the road. Their defense will be a lot better right now. Their defense is young. Ron Rivera is still the head coach of this team. It's all about the offense in this team. It's not really about the defense here. This will be a hell of a quarterback duel down there. We're going to see 4 quarterback duels, and it's not even Giants, Cowboys. It's not going to involve the Lions, Chargers. Not even going to involve the Browns, Ravens, really, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it's true. 49ers, Jags, Texans, Bengals, Commanders, Seahawks. That's only 3, right? Right now, it's Browns, Ravens. That's more interesting here. That might be it's Bengals, 49ers, Jaguars, and a 4-5 game that involves a Washington. Think about that for a minute. And think about the suck back match last night with Tyson Badgett and Bryce Young. Bryce Young, who's on his way right now, bust. So it's not looking good for Carolina or Chicago here in this case. Tyson Badgett had a hell of a spin move last time. I'm watching it. If no one's watching the highlights right now at this point, because I'm scrolling up and down the screen now, it's showing highlights of last night's game. Hopefully I didn't screw up the scrolling down thing for you, but yeah. That was a game last night. That was an interesting game. It was a drop pick post, I believe. I think this was. Or it was well short. Was it well short? Oh, it was well short. Oh, okay. So it wasn't a doink. All right. So that's how the game pretty much ended last night. Touch about to convert on a 3rd and 7 right here in this pass play right here. That was to is a arm wrestling people in a country. So that's that was the only thing that that really Al Michaels really cared about going in that game, which I thought was hilarious. Anyway, Sunday Night Football on NBC, even matchup. It's the from Josh McDaniels in Denver. But yeah, he was pathetic. He's a pathetic head coach. I will say. Right now, Antonio Pierce is run right now as the new head coach for the Raiders. Going pretty good so far. This will be a very hard game for O'Connell. Devontae Adams will expose Sauce Gardner. Will have more than 5 catches in this game. He'll get 5+ catches. Jacoby Myers will have at least 6+ catches in this game. I'm predicting 2 touchdown passes from Aiden O'Connell, and I'm predicting a Jets field goal here. I'm predicting a 14-3 win for the Las Vegas Raiders to beat the New York Jets. I do. I'm not seeing more than 3 points being scored here. I think the Jets are finally exposed right now. They're frauds. They're the real frauds. So I know Rodgers won't be back for. I don't know why they call it Allegiant Stadium, but it's in paradise, so it would have been a nice field for that thing. By the way, the Carolina Panthers, I forgot to mention this, worst 9-game start to the season right now since 2001 when they were 1-8 there. They've had 1-8 starts, 4th time in their franchises. We're taking on the Buffalo Bills. Von Miller finally facing his former team. Denver either getting in their mojo back or not here. Buffalo struggling a lot offensively. Josh Allen right now in this matchup here. They're 7.5-point favorites. Buffalo. I think Buffalo. So Wilson will get sacked. This will be a 10 win. Much of the fact he'll turn it over here. It's down a little bit. He's starting to get older. So I expect fireworks in the string, blitzing, stopping the run, whatever he's got to do. But yeah, that will be the story going in this game. So and those are my NFL picks. Now I'm not even sure how long the show is going at this point because my clock of your screen, obviously, they're not going to put it on the top here, although I may just give YouTube an idea for that. So wicked scary hit. But he is fine, though, at this point, so he'll be okay. Cardinal last night, 31-24. Although I probably should give you the scores because that would probably help here. Let's take a look here because I matchups here, which I was very interesting. They're going to have a military guy involved in that. Don't really hear that very oftenly. The games really interest me this weekend here. Although, if I make a prediction right now for UNLV, it's not letting me load the thing up. What the hell? I don't want that. I do not want to do that at all. Here, this is what happens when you have a computer that's terrible. I'll just find a matchup. All right, and Krog Field. Michigan played a tough Big Ten defense. It was Ohio State. They're held under the test for Michigan all year. It even says on the high line here. 10-0. I don't think Penn State's going to beat them here. I don't. To me, up here, that Michigan defense is scary. Close battle though. I don't think before it'll be a 34-17 win. I think JJ McCarthy will get 2 touchdowns thrown in this game. I think Blake Corn will rush for 2. So that's basically how this game will play out, and a couple of field goals really that put the game out of reach here. Let's see. Let's keep going down here. Tulsa and Tulane. Tulane's ranked 23rd. I'm going to take Tulane. So I think I may have mentioned that already, but just in case, that's the matchup there. 16th ranked Kansas at home in Lawrence, taking on Texas Tech. I'm going 16th ranked Kansas for the W there. I think Texas Tech is a good team and all that right now. They'll make this a good battle right now. Their offense is good. Kansas will make this a hell of a game right now. So you got two great quarterbacks in the country right now on that team. It's a matter of at this point right now, like how do you use them here? It'll be interesting when the transfer portal obviously begins at this point. If one of them stays, they're too good at home. That fan base is awesome. So I'm going Kansas with a win there. Arizona at Colorado. I think that's the end of Colorado. I think that's the end of Colorado's magic here. I was going to go with the upset pick here with this, but I think Arizona will get the W here. They've been impressive these last few weeks here. I think that for them to go into Boulder Field here, it'll be a statement win more for Arizona than it will be for Colorado to beat them. So I think Deion Sanders, there's been a lot of fights going on lately. All teams. I wouldn't love that right now if I'm Deion Sanders. We got Baylor at 25th ranked Kansas State. I'm going Kansas State to get the W right now. Miami Hurricane Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. Florida State will get the W here. I think Jordan Travis and Keenan Campbell and Johnny Wilson will be a lot for Miami's defense to handle here. Their defense is good, but I think Travis in this game will throw for at least 3 touchdowns in the game to make this a hard game for them to reach. I think Florida State overall will hold Miami to under 10 points in this game. I think, or actually at this point under 21-10 win. I'm not really seeing this to be a high scoring battle here. Let's see. We're going Tennessee and Missouri. That's part of the 3:30 shutdown right now. 13th ranked Tennessee going to 14th ranked Missouri. I'm going with Missouri here to get the win over Tennessee. I think Joe Milton III is a good quarterback. He's a lot better than what people are saying that he is at this point. Has not shown it. I think realistically, he's just been troubled this year for this team. I don't think Missouri is going to back team at all. They're home. This gives him more of an advantage here. I think they'll be a tough opponent for Joe Milton III to handle here. I think he'll throw one interception right now. He'll fumble the ball. Missouri's team will capitalize on it. Cook will shine in that game against the Volunteers. So I'm going with Missouri to get the win there. You got 12th ranked Oregon State hosting Stanford. Oregon State will get the win. There's not really a debate about that one, really. DJ Yogala will have a good game. Ole Miss at Georgia. You got Dart versus Carson Beck. I'm going with the point out to both 35 points. I think Ole Miss will make this a very close game. I think this will be a game where you can argue right now this will be a 35-34 win with like a last-second touchdown towards the end of the game. We're going to see a hell of a game at this point. Ole Miss can probably play spoiler here and pick up the upset here. I don't see this being an 11-point underdog win for Georgia. I think this will be a very close game. Ole Miss will cover. Let's see. We got 17th ranked Oklahoma at home against West Virginia. I'm going with Gabriel here. He's not going to lose 3 straight here. Mountaineers have been a really good team this year. They've been playing tough football, but their defense is not going to be able to handle that star power for Oklahoma. So, yeah. Jalen Daniels, depending on if he plays or not, with LSU, they're taking on the Florida Gators. I'm going with the LSU Tigers to get the win here. Not much else to say there about that one right now. Michigan State will travel to Ohio State. They had an Adolf Hitler issue with Michigan State. They were apologized for that. They actually found a school, I think, of like about 50 to 100K for that. I think Ohio State, though, however, will get the win. Kyle McCord, Marvin Harrison Jr., that rush attack for Ohio State, that offensive line is just too much for Michigan State's defensive line to handle here. And I think Ohio State will just destroy them. I think there'll be like a 38-3 game. Not much else to tell you. I think McCord throws for 5 touchdowns in this game as well. He'll have a breakout game against this Michigan State defense. I think 3 of them will go to Marvin Harrison Jr., though. He'll have a hat trick in this game. Quentin Ewers will make his return for Texas, 7th-ranked Texas, taking on TCU. I think Texas will get the win. TCU's not that good this year. Chandler Morris is not a good quarterback. Quentin Ewers will destroy this team defensively. Sonny Dykes has a great system, but their defense is terrible. So I think Texas gets a big win here. Duke is taking on 24th ranked North Carolina. I think Drake May's season will continue to be great. The accuracy will get a little bit better here. I think North Carolina gets a W. USC will take on Oregon. That is the last of the ranked matchups here as far as interesting matchups go here. Bodacious is one hell of a story. It's one hell of a trend at this point. Here's the thing. Caleb Williams has been hearing the noise all week about him crying on his mom's lap, the mojo, his motivation, stuff like that. It's coming into play here, and it's pissing this kid off. Oregon's 15-point favorites going into this game. I'm not sure if this is the most points ever that Caleb Williams has been underdog by. You got Lincoln Riley, who supports this guy all the way through. You got Dan Lanning, who supports Bo Dacius all the way through here. Bo Nix, by the way, who's been on a totally different level here. I think he's really on contention this year of surpassing Michael Penix Jr. for Heisman conversations here. But I don't think that's going to go away. That conversation is going to go away anytime soon here. But if I had to say right now, if I had to be a betting man on this whole thing, I'm still going to take Oregon with the W here, though. But at the same time, I want to go with Caleb Williams here because here's the thing. When was the last time USC had an upset win on the road and they weren't even ranked? Just think about that for a minute. It's week 11 of the college football season right now at this point. But, I mean, has it ever happened before? I don't think it has. Even when they're home, it hasn't really happened here. So, again, like I have that thought process that plays out in my head here. And it's just, again, that's the thought process. Has there ever been an upset win? I mean, as far as Oregon's concerned here, in Eugene here, this may be the shocking win of the year, and the shocking match of the year, where USC pulls out the upset win here. Here's the way I look at it, though. Here's the way I see it. We're probably going to end up seeing Washington go undefeated in the Pac-12. That's going to happen one way or the other. So, I don't think Oregon would be the conversation at this point, as far as, because I think they'll beat Oregon State the following week here, or a couple weeks from now, whenever they play. But I think here, as much as I want to go with Oregon here to get the win, at the same time, I want to go with USC. So I'm going to go with the Trojans and an upset win on the road. And I think Caleb Williams has a big game against an Oregon. I mean, Oregon's defense, is it really well known? Have they really been against a tough opponent this year, holding teams down? They allowed 36 against Washington, by the way. Just FYI. Last time they played a horrible Cal team that only scored 19 of them. Okay? Oregon this year has had great matches this year against Colorado this year. Now, Colorado ended up being frauds at the end of all this because they had fights in the football field right now, and it's causing a lot of stress. But that's it. There's not really much else to tell here with that. So, I don't know. To me, there are a lot of big what ifs here with this. So, I think Caleb Williams and the USC Trojans will upset the Oregon Ducks here. This is the only upset pick I have this weekend here. The rest of the games aren't really worth getting into or not really worth getting to cover for here. Other than, I think this weekend, there's one game I actually am interested in watching here. As far as unranked people go, it's the game to watch out of this weekend right now. It's going to come out of the Utah and Washington. I'm sorry, I missed that pick as well. Utah will lose to Washington, by the way. Just FYI. The Utes will lose to the Washington Huskies at Husky Stadium. That was another pick I had here. But as far as unranked opponents go, Texas State versus Coastal Carolina, here's my prediction. Texas State will beat the crap out of Coastal Carolina. They'll get the win. It'll be a 2-touchdown win for them. Coastal Carolina's momentum is gone now at this point. The magic for that school is gone, and no one's really been paying attention. So I'm going with Texas State here to get the win here. I'm going with Iowa, 22nd ranked Iowa to beat Rutgers. And I'm going with Oklahoma State, who was 15th ranked to beat Central Florida. That was another thing. That's why I missed these picks as well. And I'm also going with Northwestern to pull up the upset in Wisconsin. Okay. That school's going to do a lot of drama this year. This Big Ten win would mean a lot if it can get it done in Campbell Randall Stadium. So that's my pick there. And I'm also picking Western Kentucky to beat New Mexico State. So those are the only few unranked opponents I really care about going to this weekend here. That's it. Not much else to tell there in that one there. Okay. So on that note, I got a few stories I gotta tell you here and there. Then I'll just end the show there with this one. I know it's a long video show. I apologize. I know a lot of you don't watch these 2-hour programs. Look, anytime you want to fast forward through me talking, you can go right ahead. If I'm in a different segment, go ahead. That's the way I look at this. This show, I know I advertised for this show. I was going to have guests in this show here, as good as that would be, but not sure why it's not getting me back to my page here. I'm trying to look up my name up here because I had stuff I needed to talk about here on this program here because I'm done with my picks. So I'm going to exit the screen here. Stop sharing the screen. There you go. So that way my thing won't glitch when I guys try to talk to you. Let me know today if the video glitches on your end because I know it's been glitching on mine end today. So I hope that doesn't become an issue here going forward here. I got to fall for that hack there. But anyway, let me just scroll down here. J.C. Tretter was just telling a story according to NFL Network here, talking about the NFLPA president. J.C. Tretter says the NFL was fined a player for faking a concussion, which I'm going to say right now, whoever this player was is a complete dickhead for doing that. Just FYI. There is more to the story, though, that meets the eye here. There was only a couple of stories here right now at this point. All right, talk about the Ron Rivera, talking about the Lamar Jackson stuff. But this is the one story I want to get into here, and I'll end the show here on that. So that'll be the plan now going forward here. If I can just get that screen to open up. Let's see. Whatever just opened up just now. Is it going to open up? Is it going to let me open it up? All right, here we go. So I'm going to read this report to you right now, the story right now that's been going on here behind the scenes, which is the NFLPA president, J.C. Tretter, said that the NFL player was fined for faking a thing. Tretter said the player went through the proper protocol and was still fined, which I don't remember ever hearing that in the NFL, any story like that. This is according by Austin Nivison from the CBS Sports page. And it's also written on the NFL article as well. I'm not sure why this is not scrolling down here. Hold on. The player went through proper protocol and was still fined. Here's the way I see it. How does the NFL know that you're faking a concussion here? I'm just curious about this whole thing. You know, that's like almost like saying now at this point that DeMar Hamlin faked his heart attack here. You know, and I, for one, think that's a ridiculous take, but, you know, it's ridiculous. According to Tretter, the player was fined $50,000 earlier this season. This actually happened earlier this season. I thought it was happening last season, but it's earlier this season here. Allegedly faking concussion, medical staff told him to go down to the proper protocol here. He returned to the game after missing some time and still received a fine. He came out of the game for a concussion evaluation, which was required by our jointly appointed UNC and AT spotter because of the blow to the player's head. He was evaluated for a concussion and missed the following 2 series. Despite the emphasis on players self-reporting this most serious of injuries, the NFL determined in their review process that it was a $50,000 fine was warranted. Post quote. Here's the way I look at this. I think this whole thing's ridiculous. I think that the problem with the league today is that they want an excuse to find somebody and create the news. This right here is not the way you do it. Now, they've been turning into the fun police lately, the woke police. Now they're doctors. Now they're trying to figure out if this player is faking a concussion. Well, here's my question. Is the NFL desperate for money from these players? Because they make the most money, these owners, when they basically take your money. They cut your pay. Now, I'm not sure if they were trying to determine whether or not the player should go back in the game or not. Like, if you're the NFL, if you're the owner, if you're the NFLPA president, players union, like this is when you need to go in a situation where you need either to talk over the phone with them and the coaching as well, and before making it as something that he faked the injury. Now, it didn't become public here. I didn't get any other records here besides this. The fine was appealed, and it was eventually rescinded in full. But this is where you need to get in a thing right now, and all the PA people and the commissioner and the owners need to discuss this. I know they're not watching the games and stuff like that. They're paying attention to their own teams. But in this case here, when And this doesn't have to be during the game. This could be like after the game. This is where they need to come in and say, hey, we need to discuss this right now at this point. Why did you find this player this much money? They all need to come around and sit down here and figure out whether or not this thing should be brought back or not. Because it seems like they never do it. So that's the way I look at it. Dumb league that we have, though. Dumb. That's the way I look at it. As far as Lamar Jackson's closing out on getting to 5,000 rushing yards, I think he'll get it this weekend here. He'll surpass the record right now. In fact, you could argue right now that he'll get to 6,000 rushing yards by the end of the year. So it could happen. He could have 6,000 career rushing yards by the end of the year. So that's that. And I already covered the Chase Young stuff, what was said there. All right, so I give you the whole rundown on that. On that note, I am signing off. This is the end of the show. Thank you all for watching. I know it was a really long show right now. I definitely did more than an hour on here. Hour 55, about an hour 55 minutes. Pretty good stuff for the most part. I'm glad now that this thing has given me the power to share on my screen, because I know people are sick and tired of me reading other people's of me reading things without the actual screen being shown on here. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to share the screen for all the football games that were being played here. That way it'll be a lot easier for me to actually review it instead of actually reading a box play score. But anyway, I know the Colts-Patriots game's going to suck. If you all don't want to watch the game, don't watch it. That's my tip to you. But my social media, though, goes as following here. You can follow me on Instagram at Joe Alva Boston Sports, Snapchat, J Alva Sports 123 or J Alva Sports Junkie. TikTok is Joe. I think I already mentioned my TikTok here being Joe Alva Boston Sports 1996. I think I did mention that. My Facebook is Joseph Alvo, and I think that's really about it. I only have 4 social media things here. You know the drill, though. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for watching the show today, and I'll see you Monday. Have a good weekend, guys. Happy Veterans Day.